Hey guys, so this video I'm gonna make on my experience as an immigrant, and I wrote out this thing on Facebook, so I'm gonna share and kind of comment. So at first I was debating whether I should share this. As you know, there's a lot of charged and politicized especially on mainstream media, there's a lot of, this information that is kind of like not always accurate. They're kind of going from shock value and reactions, things like that. So me as an immigrant and as someone who often ends up hiring some immigrants legally, or just working together alongside them or knowing them, legal immigrants and unknown illegal immigrants. Some people, not limited to, I've hired people that originally are from Colombia, China, Canada, India, Africa, Brazil, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Argentina, Egypt, Europe, just to name some. Maybe we gravitate towards each other because I'm an immigrant myself, and so I want to share the perspective that gets lost, and is lost right now, especially on the mainstream media. Many conversations about immigration speak about migrants, but not from the lived experience of those who have actually navigated the system over the past couple of decades, like myself. For many of us, immigration is not an abstract political issue used to advance agendas that have nothing to do with our lives. It is our real life and our future and families. Over the past 20 years, I've witnessed how the system works with my immigrant friends and acquaintances, and it has not changed much. It actually it is the same as it was 20 years ago. These the same programs. I have personally sponsored individuals to help them obtain legal status in order to give back, because as myself, I was one vouched by an American when I needed support with my paperwork. I received help. I paid for lawyers. It wasn't cheap, but I needed recommendation letters. I needed vouching of Americans, and they were more than happy to help. Across both groups, there's often shared, so the community includes people both who arrived legally and others who arrived without legal status, or arrived legally and then perhaps went out of status at some point, failing to file, or different things that can happen, or just not having the right, not having the right situation where they could file. That's the better way to say it. So across both groups, there's often shared understanding why laws matter, and how not following them, even when driven by hardship, can lead to serious problems and safety concerns for individuals and for the community as a whole. This is why calls to abolish enforcement agencies, while often rooted in frustration, don't address the core issue. Enforcement bodies do not create immigration law, they operate within the framework they're given, such as ICE agents. These are your people, neighbors, that have families. We should respect them. Real and lasting change comes from fixing that framework itself. Clearer, more open, legal, and dignified pathways that reduce vulnerability to exploitation and human trafficking. Legal paths to economic participation, language proficiency, help, and other advancements. Faster processing for people who contribute, seek to follow the rules, and genuinely want to love this country and its culture. And opportunities for status adjustment for those who did not commit fraud or other serious crimes. Now, keeping people undocumented and in the shadows does not protect them or help them. It increases vulnerability to exploitation, unsafe working and living conditions. I've seen it with my own eyes. I even lived that. And it is a high risk for human trafficking, being exploited that way as well. A system that balances lawful enforcement with compassion and practical reform is safer for migrants and for society as a whole. Most immigrants I know, regardless of how they arrived, want stability, dignity, safety, and fair chance to build a life. And when immigrants are given the opportunity to contribute legally, the overwhelming majority work extremely hard. The hardest working people I met are both Americans and immigrants. Whether you're American or immigrant doesn't determine that. It determines what type of person you are. They pay taxes and invest in their communities like everybody else if you give them the legal status. So they don't want to be treated as immigrants forever. They are Americans, and I am American now. Respect for the law and meaningful reform are not opposing ideas. Together, they are what create a system that is both humane and functional. When it comes to creating legal pathways, responsibility does not fall on one party alone. Both Democrats and Republicans have had opportunities over the years to reform immigration laws, and both have fallen short in different ways for different reasons. Republicans have often emphasized enforcement and border security without pairing it with more realistic, more modern legal pathways that reflect today's labor needs and global mobility, especially for many lower wage or labor level roles, entry roles, where legal options are often more limited and frequently temporary, such as maybe just seasonal visas. While many permanent pathways prioritize higher skills, credentials, or the ability to make investments. Democrats, on the other hand, have frequently focused on rhetoric and symbolic protections without delivering durable legislative solutions that actually fix the system. Often they just offer hope, and that is not anything tangible. Allowing anyone to linger indefinitely, regardless of intent or merit, is not a solution either. So the result has been gridlock, leaving outdated laws in place while real people are forced to navigate consequences. It will probably never please everybody 100%, but eliminating enforcement without replacing it with workable humane reform is not a solution either. If you want to actually help immigrants, we need to work together. People on both ends of the spectrums need to work on actual solutions, not use violence or derogatory terms. I am a naturalized American, not even though I wasn't born here. I love this country, respect its laws, and do business with integrity. So I received a great positive feedback on this, at least through my circle. And I think many people would agree that with that, we need to treat people equally, and it doesn't matter whether you are American or immigrant. You know, we all deserve ability to work, to contribute. And the one thing, what happens if we allow people without checking their IDs, without checking their intentions, we allow these people to come in and remain, is that people that do want to come in legally, like I've received some comments that, like myself, a lot of people, you know, spend 10 years, like myself, or more, or sometimes less, it depends, you know, 5 years usually, like minimum, to get naturalized, to make sure they complete their paperwork and do things the right way. You know, they have to wait longer, suffer more, because the system gets backlogged with people that don't want to do things the right way. So there is understanding, like, I think a lot of people that, you know, maybe didn't have the opportunity to do it the legal way, they still understand that it would be better if they did it the legal way, right? But maybe they just don't have access to that pathway. They're not in a position. So we need to enable more of those pathways, but saying that we should just allow anybody, anytime, no country does that. No country is doing that. So I think we need to treat people equally, and if people do break the law, if they do not contribute, if they, for example, don't want to love this country, if, you know, then they are not, should not be a part of our society, of the Western society, and this goes for Europe as well. People that are not open-minded, that are not for freedom, free thinking, and individual autonomy should not be allowed to enter, right? People that want to terrorize Americans, people that want to live on just support and handouts. I never took, as an immigrant, any sort of handouts because I felt like it wasn't fair. I wasn't paying into system back then, so it didn't feel fair that I would receive any sort of support. And one of the comments here, one of my immigrant friends said, you know, that they felt upset, you know, they feel upset because they did the right thing. They didn't receive any of that, even work permit they didn't receive. They had to wait, while some people that came in illegally somehow been given free health care, work permit right away, and some other benefits. So then, you know, it creates like injustice as well. So we should make, you know, immigration more equalized pathway to more people. So then people that want to do things the right way don't get disadvantaged, and people get rewarded for doing things the wrong way. So this is my experience, my 2 cents, take it or leave it. I'm not claiming to know everything, purely sharing from my experience. And let me know your opinion in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.